System alert. System alert. Verified enemy. Loki Robinson. Activate database. Database activated. Ink out loud.
Welcome to Heroes and Legends, brought to you by Chewy's Cantina, and I'm your host, author Adam Bray. And this episode's character in focus is Marvel's Loki. Now, the character of Loki is, of course, inspired by the Norse god of mythology, but his history is rather confusing and not at all consistent, and doesn't necessarily match the storylines in the Marvel MCU or the comics. His parentage changes often in the mythology. His relationship to Thor and Odin and the other gods changes depending on the story. Even what he's the god of or what his powers are is a bit inconsistent. But the one theme that is consistent throughout is he is mischievous and he is a shapeshifter. Now, Loki had a bit of a false start in the comics. He first appeared in Timely Comics Venus number 6, and that issue came out August 1949. And in that episode, he was envisioned as a member of the Olympian gods, and they were exiled in the underworld. But he played a character that was more like the devil, more of a tempter character. But he got a reboot and then was brought back into Marvel Comics, the main line, in Journey into Mystery. And that appeared October 1962. And there he was the enemy of Thor, and more like the Loki that we know and love to hate now. And he was brought to life by none other than Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, and was illustrated and designed by the artist great Jack Kirby. Now, as a contributor myself to DK's Marvel Encyclopedia, the new edition, I'll read us an excerpt of Loki's character history. It begins, Loki was born the son of Laufey, king of the frost giants of Jotunheim. Ashamed of Loki's small size, Laufey hid him away, but the child's existence came to light after the frost giants were defeated in a battle with the Asgardians. Odin, the ruler of Asgard, discovered Loki in the frost giant's fortress. Realizing that Loki was the son of Laufey, a king whom he had slain, Odin took the boy back to Asgard and raised him as his own. Now you'll see here that Loki's backstory begins kind of as it does in the MCU, though in the comics Laufey is slain by Odin rather than Loki. And so it continues. Loki never fitted in among the inhabitants of Asgard. He nursed a virulent grudge against his stepbrother Thor, the god of thunder, who possessed in abundance the heroic qualities that Loki himself lacked. Jealous of the praise Odin showered on Thor, Loki took up the dark arts of sorcery and plotted for a way to become ruler of Asgard. His love of trickery earned him a reputation first as the god of mischief, and then, as he grew more and more cruel, the god of evil. After many attempts by Loki to usurp the throne of Asgard, Odin lost patience with him and imprisoned him within a mystical tree. Loki eventually freed himself and went in search of Thor, who was then living on Earth in the mutual guise of Donald Blake. So you see here, there's similarities between the comic story and Loki as he appears in the MCU, though perhaps he's a little bit more capable in the comics than the movie character that we know and love. Continuing on, Loki participated in the formation of the Avengers by inciting the Hulk to violence, and he transformed Crusher Creel into Thor's foe, the Absorbing Man. He later allied himself with the Enchantress and turned Earth's major villains into the pawns during the Acts of Vengeance conspiracy. Loki finally conquered Asgard and made it into his own image, but Thor succeeded in decapitating him. Thor carried Loki's preserved head to observe the final act of Ragnarok, when Asgard and the inhabitants vanished from existence. After Ragnarok, Loki returned, occupying the body of the goddess Sif. Soon after, he fooled Thor into killing his grandfather Bor. As a consequence, Thor was banished from the new Asgard. Loki joined the Cabal during the Dark Reign and convinced Norman Osborn to launch a full-scale assault on Asgard. The attack was so fierce that Loki changed sides to help defend Asgard and paid for the treachery with his life. And here you see sort of a similar thing where Loki switched sides. And in the MCU, he helps Thor defend Asgard against Hela and then Surtur. And so continuing, learning that his brother's spirit had not been sent to Hel, Thor searched for Loki and found him in the form of a boy. Restored to his godhead, but without any memories of his past, he became known as Kid Loki. Thor treated him with such respect and affection he came to idolize his brother and changed his goals, if not his ways. Later, to save the world, Kid Loki allowed the spirit of his older self to kill him and take over his body. From then onward, Kid Loki appeared to exist only as a conscience to plague his original self. When the malevolent dark elf Malekith brought war to the 10 realms, Loki worked from both sides. He later tried to purge Earth of life using the Dark Celestials, but his actions brought the Avengers together to defeat him. So actor Tom Hiddleston made his debut as Loki in Marvel Studios' Thor in 2011, and his story continued in the Avengers, and then Thor 2 Dark World, Thor 3 Ragnarok, and finally in Avengers Infinity War, where the character died. Now, as I'm sure you know, there's a new series that has already started, and Tom Hiddleston continues the character because in Endgame, of course, the Avengers go back in time and they end up screwing up their mission, and Loki from the past escapes, and so if you're watching the show, you know what happens as much as I do. But so that's a wrap up of Loki in the MCU, and but more importantly, the action figures. So there have been 10 Marvel Legends Loki figures released to date, and I'm quite certain we're going to have more very soon, probably this summer, revealed. We might even see the Kid Loki, I would bet. But the first released was Toy Biz 2006 Loki from the comics, and there was a Longhorns and a Shorthorns variant to that. And that was with Toy Biz. And then in 2011 there was a very cool Walmart exclusive And for a brief period, Hasbro dropped the Marvel Legends name, though this is the same scale. It was part of the Thor, the Mighty Avenger line, and it was a Walmart exclusive from the comics, completely unique, very cool figure. I kind of want it now that I see it. And Walmart got yet another exclusive for the Avengers line. These figures came with their own little stands, and I think the stands can all connect. So Loki from the Avengers movie, and that figure was re-released, repacked in the UK as part of the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure line. Now, Toys R Us got an exclusive A-Force pack of female Marvel super people, and in that A-Force pack came a Lady Loki, the female version of Loki from the comics. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think that had a prior convention exclusive release as a pack. Then we get a more modern version of Loki with the first real face print tech applied to the face, and that's one of the Ragnarok line that also included Thor and Hela and those characters, and he's in his blue and yellow costume from Sakaar. No other accessories other than the Hulk Build-A-Figure part. And then we get a repaint of the same figure, repacked as a 2-pack with one of Thor's kids, not Thor, with one of Thanos' kids. That was a 2-pack, I think it was a store exclusive possibly for Avengers Infinity War. But a repaint of the previous Ragnarok figure, but this in Loki's more green and black costume, more traditional colors. And he has the blue Tesseract with him as his accessory. And then lastly, until recently, is the comic version of classic Loki. A little bit cheesy, but still cool. And that's a green and yellow costume with big horns, and he's part of the Smart Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. And then recently, the most recent figure we get is this new Loki from the Disney Plus series. And he's part of the Falcon Wings Build-A-Figure wave. He's just in a plain brown suit with a tie, kind of a boring costume, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get some more Lokis in, because he appears in many different outfits in this new series, so more to come. So I hope you've enjoyed this Loki character focus, and if you'd like to learn more about Loki, you can check out my books for DK. For the MCU, there is Marvel Studios' The Visual Dictionary, the Character Encyclopedia, and Marvel Studios 101. And for the comics, there is the Marvel Encyclopedia, Ultimate Marvel, and Marvel Absolutely Everything You Need to Know. These books are available signed by me. For ordering details, you can contact me at Adam Bray at worldsbydesign.com. Worlds by Design is all one word with plural with an S for worlds. Or you can reach out to me on social media. It's at author Adam Bray, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Twitter is the best place to find me. And see you next time.